Okay, and that's the proper string. Username. I don't know why it's not working. Okay, let me try one more. I apologize. It was working all night. I'm wondering if the server's down. Let me try one more time. Let me see. Well, let me do this. Let me go to the instructions because maybe I'm missing something that should be there. So if I go to announcements, here we go. VPN setup, VLabs access, and so on and so forth. So let me go here. And I'm going to download this PowerPoint. I'm going to open it up rather. Let me just do this over here, just minimize it. Okay. So could everyone see my screen still?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So in this first slide, I put the URL here. So if you were to copy and paste it into a browser, you would get this screen. Second screen, you select VLabs right here. Next screen, you select Windows. Next screen, you click on this link and it will take you to this link to download the correct Cisco VPN capability. So connecting to Penn State, you select which OS. So in my case, Windows. There's also Mac supported. And then at that point, you will reboot your machine. Then you would call up the VPN. And once you're connected, the way I connected, then you need to access remote desktop. And if you're running Windows 10, remote desktop is not activated. You have to activate it by going into the search engine here and typing remote desktop connections, and you have to take the option to activate it. So here's remote desktop. You saw this. Here's the string that must be there, vlabs.up.ist.psu.edu. You'll get these two messages. Just connect and yes. And then this guy over here.
It's got a different domain than what you were logging in with.
That's right. But for some reason, it did allow me. So let me just grab a pencil for one quick second, guys. last week they deleted this by mistake. They upgraded the system. I had to scramble to get it loaded back. Okay. So once you do that, then Eris, and then you get right here. Okay. So there's your instructions. It's two-part VPN, VPN to do tunneling, and then the remote desktop capability. So let me just get out of here and let me connect here. Okay, so you were right. But for some reason, it took it earlier. I should have went to the documentation. So here you're on Windows Server 2012 64-bit. If you put your cursor here and you go to all programs and you go analysis and modeling, you see Eris Express. And if you go back to Project 3 has a link to Eris documentation online, which is a combination of videos, walkthrough instructions, and so on. So it isn't technical information that just that goes on and on. So in this case, if I want to create an organizational chart, a data model chart, a BPMN, a process landscape, this is what I meant about the organization. You could also use the process landscape for your IT, a whiteboard, but in this case, business processes. So if I click here, are there any questions? Okay, so here we go. So this is your palette right here. So if I go here, let me delete that. Okay, so here is my first event. Let me see. Oh. So here I enroll into MS. So this is my event. And then from there, these are activities. Before they were known as functions. So the first one is complete application. The second one is interview. Okay, interview. Review status. Okay, so I want to connect these. So you go here, just like Visio. Okay, so they're connected. Now review status. Okay, let me change. Sorry, let me call review decision. Okay, so now there's going to be, drag this down here. So this is going to be and or. So in this case, I'm going to connect. And there's going to be an event here. And there's going to be an event here. Let me just say, accept decision. Not accepted. Okay. Accepted. Okay. So in that case, so if I'm not, but if I am not accepted, okay, then let me see, not accepted. Okay. 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 Okay, so what we have here, before I start to add additional items, we have an event, enroll into MS program. So I complete the application at Penn State. I have an interview with them. I review their decision. If their decision is not accepted, then I delete the university from my list of schools to pursue. If accepted, then I enroll with the university. Okay. Now, let's go and add another event. courses. Okay, so in this case, I'm going to register for courses, and when I click inside register for courses, it brings up a mini set of it's a mini set of the certain icons or notation that you'll be using. So in this case, register for courses activity activates register for courses. Okay. And at this point, this is the activity, and I'm going to interface with an IT system. Let's call it SIS. So it's my student information system. And then, okay, based upon this activity, I'm going to have an event. Okay. Pay bill. And that I'm going to have an activity and that's going to be pay bill. Okay, so that's going to be the activity of activity type. Let me just get rid of this over here. Go back here. Okay. Pay bill activates activity. Yes. So it activates the activity of me providing funds. Tuition paid. Let me go back up here, change that to enrolled into courses. And then tuition paid over here. Okay, so this is a student financial system. So this is a basic business process, event, activity. So an event is I'm going to enroll into the MS program. It's going to provide me 3 activities. I need to complete the application. This is sequentially. I need to be interviewed, and I need to review the decision once it's provided to me by Penn State. If not accepted, which is the event that's triggered, then I execute the activity. I delete it from my list. If I'm accepted, this event then triggers enroll with the university, which then it triggers an event, register for courses, enrolled into courses. So this activity, register for courses, yields an activity, hence enrolled into courses, and it's reflective in the IT SIS system because I interface with that system. At the same time, This activity yields, as I enroll into my courses into the SIS system, it also initiates an event to pay the tuition bill. So pay bill, event, activity, tuition paid, and I interface with the financial system if I'm doing, say, electronic funds transfer, etc. So are there any questions on a basic business process? Are there any functionality the same for both versions? I usually prefer standalone. Oh, yes. Then the browser. Okay, yes, for the remote desktop, it is. Which is an event. Okay. I am glad you asked that question, Jeff. Okay. An event. The difference between an event and activity is an event could be, let me give you a more clearer picture. Event can be graduation. Graduation is an event that will then trigger the activity of either enroll into graduate school or obtain a job. So an activity signifies, an event signifies that something specific will take place, a set of activities, a set of tasks. As I said, Eris used to call them functions. Does that help, Jeff?
So is it fair to say that the event is a trigger and the activity is the result?
Yes. Yes. That is the best way to do it. Yes. You hear me, Professor? In the same way with the business process modeling notation language, many of the syntax notation looks like if I was developing a UML model for a state transition model, where you have a solid circle that signifies the beginning of the process. So think of that as a trigger, an event that must occur or will occur, and if it does, then there's a set of activities that take place. And in that case, maybe one activity, like an example I gave, the event is graduation. That triggers a Boolean logic, and or, meaning the activity to the left would be enroll into graduate school, or the event to the right, the activity to the right would be obtain a job. And you understood also about what I said about with BPMN, how much of the notation is similar to UML. Matter of fact, I don't know if you were in class earlier, if you joined us earlier, but I was going over those additional materials that I added to the additional resources. So you would see an example. Okay, let me go back. Okay, so now let's go over, okay, this is home. These are just the standard ribbons. New, I create a new model. I can open. Let me do save, okay? So in this case, Eris provides you a set of standard templates to get you going. So in this case, I'm going to call this business process college enrollment. Okay, so now if I wanted to, let me click on here. Fragment. Character. Import. Export. Representation. Okay. It's this one. We go here. Description, definition, link. This is where I will link. See here, let me do this. So here is a activity. I'm going to right click, go down to properties, and here I could put the description of it, author, but here I'm going to link to maybe an organizational chart, maybe another process. So let me go. Okay. Aris Express. Let me link to an organizational chart. So in this case, I'm linking it to an organizational chart, as you saw. Put that right there. Sorry about that. So I linked it to an organizational model showing that there is a specific university department. Format, representation, reset character. Okay, so we have all that. Object occurrence format. Okay. College enrollment. Okay. Okay, so I don't know why that link is not showing up. There should be a link here because I have a link from this activity to the organizational chart. I will look into that, but basically this is how I'd link, that I could tie in a hierarchical structure of my processes from policy to procedure to work instruction, also to information systems. Property, okay. So let's see if this one works. IT infrastructure. Okay. So it's linked. I don't know why the little icon's not coming up to link it, but I'm sure it's something that I could easily locate, because it should, I have them linked. There should be an icon here, so when I execute it, I could see that link back to the IT infrastructure chart or model. So are there any questions about Eris? Any questions? Can everyone see my screen still?
It's smaller, but yes.
Okay. To answer the question by Jill, do we need to use Eris to model processes? No. It's only the third project. And let me go to the third project, okay? Let me go back to Canvas. Let me go right down to the third project. The third project, as I said, it's new. I re-engineered this course. I introduced it from last semester. And basically what I have here is the following. Develop a set of comprehensive BPMN models. They could also be EPC if you want. For the project, review the SAP Enterprise Business Process Architecture Framework. So this is understanding SAP. I had put this together because it represents an enterprise-wide system. So the rationale for this project is based on providing students with the applied knowledge of business process development. So as we get through the fluff, okay, project description. Number one, this project involves a selection and research of a specific organization. For example, a discrete manufacturing organization such as Lockheed Martin, who would be associated with the project category of Project 4. So in other words, there's 4 project categories. Companies like Lockheed, Northrop Grumman, pharmaceutical, discrete. Process can be a chemical process company like Eastman Chemical. Mass manufacturing could be something like consumables, toothpaste, day-to-day items that we use. That's why I refer to them as mass consumables. And then there's service sector. Now, for each of the project categories, I provide a background. So for discrete manufacturing, here's a background of who they are and a description. Same thing for Project 2 category, Project 3, Project 4 category. Now, here's the project requirements. Select a project category. For example, here's Lockheed Martin, discrete manufacturing. So you select Lockheed Martin. Conduct research relative to their organizational structure, business model, key business processes, objectives, any business impediments to those objectives, and what's their basis of competition in the marketplace. So Lockheed Martin, by and large, is in the same business as Boeing, but yet they have distinct business models. So this is what I mean by their basis of competition. The professor shall provide an example of research conducted for Lockheed Martin as an addendum to this project. So you document a set of well-defined business process models based upon your research that you have to write up. At least specific to 2 or 3 key areas of improvement. For example, I know I go back to supply chain management. If Lockheed Martin has inefficiencies with their supply chain management capability from a business process perspective and supporting information systems, Well, then what would be your recommendations from a process improvement perspective, not necessarily information systems. Same thing for project governance and oversight, maybe earned value and technical risk management. These are just ideas. Now, your question may be, well, where do I get most of this information? Well, you could do research, like, for example, the Harvard business cases. In graduate school for your MBA, you're required to go through Harvard business cases. And these Harvard business cases, it's like walking through time where companies repeat the same mistakes over and over again. And they're short executive summaries, maybe a page and a half, but no more. This is where you could get a lot of good information about a company's business strategy, what they're addressing that needs to be fixed, repaired, etc. Wall Street Journal, other articles, and so on. So with that said, the deliverable will be a completed final project 3 template. So I provided a template. Let me just call it up. And again, everyone, thank you for your patience. So here's a standard template. So basically, what's your project category and specific organization that you selected? Your research on them. Be specific. Document business process improvements. A snapshot of your models that you create for your intended process improvements that are business process architecture. And document list of references. Document any appendices if applicable. So this is a standard template. Now let me give you, and then we already went over how to connect VPN and so on, and what the string is to access VLabs. If you want to download Eris yourself, the community edition, you could to your own machine. Product technology user documentation, as I spoke earlier when we began this session, Eris has for Express very how-to documents, videos. Now, I provided you examples focused on Lockheed Martin, so I hope this helps. First of all, here's your research. So let's do a company bio. So here's your write-up. Product technology. So what they manufacture and so on. Issues, problems they face. Here's the recommendations and so on. Here's the strategic movement that if they make these process improvements, this is how they should pursue greater economies of scale, greater innovation. So strategically looking outward. And then works cited. So this is the type of research that will help you populate that template. Now, what I did was, look at this. This is directly off Lockheed Martin. So SR3, production, logistics, ERP. So basically, issues to their sales order production, production by lot size, sales order related repetitive manufacturing, project oriented, make to order production. That's what you do if you're a discrete manufacturer. Here's the production logistics, production lot size. Now we get right into the models. So here's my intended improvement. If we're speaking about production by lot size. So here's my plan processing model. Here's my demand management. Here's my creating production orders to streamline that. So I could get the assigned customer order into production readily. Here's the executable production order process. So we get down to granularity, to more executable detail. The one before it, where my cursor is waving, is more of a higher level process, referred to it as a procedure. This one down here would be considered to be a work instruction. So does this help providing you an example of research from an actual company and models that were built in Eris for recommending business process improvements? Are there any changes or suggestions that you would have for me to make? Okay. I know that project teams are being formed. Jill, I know that you sent me an email, so if you could send me a follow-up email explaining to me who is on your team. And the reason for that is some of the class members would like me to form teams that they are not in a team, and so I will form teams and I will place them into teams. But please let me know who is on your team so I do not place these individuals on teams that I will create. If you could send me an email, I would appreciate it by tomorrow, or sooner if you could, Jill. Okay, are there any questions? Was this very informative? Good information? Was our first real night where technology was working properly with Canvas? Was it beneficial to everyone? Any changes in our approach to these weekly sessions?
So far, so good.
Okay. And lastly, let me make the last point, and that is, please, I want the teams to get me involved into their projects. You have scheduled meetings, invite me. If I could attend, I will try. But at least send me meeting notes. Pick my brain. I want to be an active member on each team's set of projects, which there are 3 projects per team. So with that, if there's no further questions, I will form the teams and place individuals into those teams that are not part of Jill's team. Jill will send me an email to provide me her team members so I don't place them into another team. So with that said, my office hours are 7 a.m. to 11 p.m., 7 days a week. Weekends, I'll try to get back to you, but please call me and utilize me. I think of you guys not just as students, but also as colleagues, because you are highly caliber in terms of professionals. You have a lot of experience, so I look upon you as colleagues as well. So without any questions, I would like to say goodnight to everyone, and I will post this. I will make a copy and post it. I have a folder in modules, and I will place it there, and I will set up next week's meeting. Jill, it will be posted as I switch my screen. Let me switch my screen to modules. Come on. Okay. It will be posted here. Weekly meeting recordings and additional meetings. The weekly recordings will go here. So there'll be a link to them. The reason why I have additional meetings, those are the meetings that I may have by project team, which I insist that I be part of the projects as a silent member. So does that answer the question, Jill? Oh, when will it be posted? It will be posted this evening. Worst case scenario, tomorrow morning, bright and early, because I have to make a copy of it because the third party group that we use, they only save it for 2 weeks and then they automatically delete it. So I need to make a copy of it, test it, and then I will post it. Okay. Hey, guys, thank you. Again, please call me. Need any help, I'm here for you. Everyone have a good evening, and thank you for being in this class. Good night.